Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about gear. A few days ago, we talked about getting started with hiking, which could lead to backpacking. I said we were going to talk about gear in another video. This is that video. Let's talk about gear basics, what you need to start hiking in 2025. Let's go. Okay, my goal is for you not to spend a lot of money. I think you can start this with just stuff that you've got. If you start really enjoying it, you can then invest more money in gear to do this sport. But I think your first handful of hikes, 2, 3, 4, 5, should be done with gear you've already got. And so I'm going to talk about things that you've already got, and then I'm going to talk about sort of next steps down the road, things that you might like to upgrade. Number one, and I think the most important, is appropriate footwear. And as I said, you can probably do this with something you've got. While it's not perfect, you could do this with a pair of running shoes. Trail running shoes would be better. Something with a little bit of grip, something that's going to offer a little bit of support for your ankle. Running shoes could work for you. Any sort of fitness trainer is a good way to get started. After a handful of hikes, then I think it's time to really consider a pair of boots. I like boots over hiking shoes. I'll show you a hiking shoe in a second. I like boots over hiking shoes because it's giving you a little bit more support around the ankle. This support is really just keeping your ankle over the support, which is down here. It's giving you a little bit more support. And for new hikers, I worry about foot, ankle, calf strength. This will help with that. Then your next season, do an entire season in a lightweight boot like this. Go to something like this. This is a hiking shoe, so doesn't have the big ankle, weighs a bit less, but I think this is a good way to go for season 2 after you've already built up some good calf, foot, ankle strength. Super nice. You probably have this. This will get you started, then transition to this, then transition to this. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is some form of backpack. You probably have some form of backpack lying around that is perfectly suitable to get started. It could be something that looks like as little as this. This is like an 18-liter. This is, I think, the REI Flash Pack that I've had for like a decade. I love this for like around town and getting on a plane. But guess what? Totally usable as a day pack for hikes. I really love it. It's super lightweight. Or you might have something like this. This is a much bigger 40-liter day pack with a support system built like a full-size backpack. It could be something like this, or it could be something in between. You do not need something like this, which is a full-size 50-liter backpack. So on the big end, on the little end, you just need something to hold a couple of items. Okay, third item on the list, some form of water bottle. I like the inexpensive, this is like $14, REI branded Nalgene bottle, relatively indestructible. I don't like the $30, $40, $50 double insulated insert brand name here. They're heavy. The insulated is nice, but I just like a bottle like this. Any sort of water bottle. I think for your first hikes, which are only going to be a couple hours, if that, a liter is fine. You could then progress to something like a hydration or a reservoir system with a hose. Those work really well. They're great, a great way to carry more water because it keeps it close to your back and your center of gravity. And the hose helps you stay better hydrated than these do. People tend to not drink because it's a pain to get this out of your pack. And then you guzzle water, which is not really a great way to stay hydrated. With the hose, you tend to sip a little all day long. But a water bottle, throw it inside that pack. In the video a few days ago, the one piece of gear I talked about was a phone. I highly recommend a phone in some form of waterproof case or crush-proof case. I tend to put this in a Pelican in the bottom of my backpack, just so that I know that it works. The downside of that is if you're using it to take pictures, you can't readily get to it, but a phone that is somehow protected, I think is super important. The last thing I'm gonna have you add to this group of items is gonna be a weather-appropriate clothing. We could do an entire video just on clothing and layering, but let's start out with appropriate clothing for your climate. If it's cold, add a fleece. If there's a chance of wind or rain, add a wind-rain layer. A shell jacket covers a lot of bases. A shell jacket is usually windproof, almost always waterproof. Those two things will add a lot of warmth, even if it just gets colder. So appropriate clothing for your climate, and maybe a little extra just in case. Additionally, a good thing to have in your pack, even though it's a short hike, would be snack foods, a Cliff Bar, a Luna Bar, whatever, a granola bar, whatever gets you going. A Snickers bar can be an amazing thing on a hike. So some little snack maybe for your halfway point before you turn around and head home. Those are the 4 things that you absolutely must have, and those are 4 things that you probably already have. I've given you a couple of little updates that you can do. Here are some other things that you can update as well. The next thing I would update is this. I would add a trekking pole. I think trekking poles are sensational, relatively inexpensive, like under $100 you can get a good set of poles. On day hikes, and actually lately on full hikes, I generally only use one. I like to have a hand free, but really nice for adding a third point of contact with the ground when terrain gets a little tricky. It can help you get up if you fall down. I just think that is a great thing to add to your kit. Okay, I'll give you one last thing to think about as you're building up this gear list. Do a Google search for the 10 essentials list. The 10 essentials list started out as 10 things you should always have in your pack. It is now 10 essential systems for things that you should have in your pack. And it starts delving into things like navigation and a headlamp and things like that. All of those are great things to have. The first aid kit, all that stuff is important to have. But I think for your first few hikes that are going to be relatively short, we can get away with just these simple 4 or 5 things. Okay, so these are the things you can use to get started. As I said, through your first 4 or 5 hikes, you'll do fine with stuff you've got, and then start building out your kit. And I really like that 10 essentials list because it adds a lot of sort of options and preparedness for down the road. If you found this helpful, do me a favor, hit like and hit subscribe. There's a link down below for Kofi, K-O-F-I, which will link you to all sorts of stuff that I sell relatively inexpensively, gear lists and books and things like that, stickers. It's all over there on Kofi. My books, including The Simple Guide to Backpacking, is available in softcover on Amazon, and soon will be available on digital form in Kofi. We're going to make that happen relatively quickly. I hope you enjoyed this. Get out there, get hiking. Let me know how it goes. I'll see you outside.